The first is going to be the butterfly light box. We are going to start off with this pack of paper butterflies from Dollar Tree. They come in assorted sizes and colors. I'm going to use this, it's almost like a bank box or a shadow box. And a string of lights, make sure they work. This is just like a little moss mat. Alright, so to get this box open, y'all, I'm telling you about the struggle. I could not find the edge, but finally, ta-da! There it is. There it is. We're going to use that as the base. So I'm going to measure off my mat here and mark it with a marker, and then I'm going to cut inside of that line because it needs to be smaller than that. You're going to have about 1/8 of an inch all the way around the edge that you can still see the mat, the square underneath it. See, it was too big that time, so I'd have to trim it down. Now it's not going to fit back on the inside. The slot that is where you slide the back onto is too thin for adding anything to it. So we're just going to change the shape of the box just slightly, or I would say the background of the box. So I'm going to take off this edge piece, and since I broke mine, it's just MDF, not a big deal. I'm just going to add some glue. I added some E6000, glued it back together. It's strong, no problem. Then my E6000 has a hole in it, so I'm going to just go right there where it's squirting out and add some of that E6000 on here and put that frame piece back down on the box. And I'm going to add some hot glue too to make it quicker. And then put that back in place. No problem, it's going to be in the back and it's going to be covered, so not an issue. Now it will fit just laying right on the back. Alrighty. So you can see here that I have an edge around here, and later on that's where we're going to put our lights, right on that little track, and it will be flush when you lay it down. That's what we want. So I'm going to just use hot glue. That's all I really need here. This is Gorilla Glue sticks. You can use whatever type of adhesive you want. Hot glue just works better for producing these videos for y'all because it's quicker, you know? But if you want to do anything permanent, if you want to sell anything, you really need to use something that's not going to come apart. And I like to do these videos just to encourage you and inspire you. So use what you have. Now these butterflies come in different sizes in the package. I have also seen at Dollar Tree pink, green, and blue. So whichever one you like. We're going to need something to add dimension here and something that won't be thicker than the space we have when the box is closed. So I had some little thrifted cork pieces. You can use different size beads. You can use little wood blocks. You can use pieces of sticks. You can use the little puffy glue pieces or tape pieces. I'll get there in a minute, y'all. It's early. So use what you have so that you have some dimension, and it looks like the butterflies are standing up off of the moss mat. That's the look that I am going for here. And I tried to choose the butterflies that look more moth-like, you know, that had more of a simple shape, but you can use whatever you like, whatever floats your boat. So you can see here that they are different shapes, and because the cork is slanted, some of them actually are a little more lifted toward the top, and then some can be, see, there's an angle here. It's like it's flying up out of the moss. If you don't have this moss background, because I got mine at the thrift store, there were 2 pieces of it, and I just about jumped for joy when I saw it. And of course nobody wanted it but me. So I grabbed 2 mats of it, but you can use like the regular moss mats that you get, or you can use reindeer moss or whatever you have. You could even use pieces of tree bark that you find when you're out rummaging. You could use leaves, whatever you want to make a background, just to give it some different texture and dimension. So I took a piece of a little floral arrangement apart, and it had these all stacked together, but you can recycle the little sticks. And that's what I wanted to do here, because I've already used the flowers that came with it, so I just saved them. And now I can put these as a border that goes right around the edge. I like that they are sticks, and I just think that, I don't know, this just gives it kind of a woodsy look. This is almost like what you would call the taxidermy boxes, or you know, when kids do the bug collections and they put their little bugs in a box to display, it's like a display. So once you've picked out what kind of sticks you want, and of course get these out of your yard if you don't, you know, don't have some on hand that you can use, and just add these down here. I'm going to leave a little gap on each of the corners because we're going to do something a little bit different there. And for the one that I put on this side, I wanted it to almost look like a little added depth by putting this one down underneath the leaf, not the leaf, the wing of the butterfly, and then on the top part here, kind of having that wing peek through the two little pieces. It's just a little something kind of unexpected and extra that I like to do in some of my projects. And I'll place that one down. Now, I foraged in my yard and got all these pieces, and I've been working with these pieces and we'll use them in the next project. You can just pick up your mushrooms, your moss, lichen, whatever you have. I've got tree bark, some Spanish moss under there, pine needles, whatever you think you might could use in your projects. I left mine outside for several days in the sun to dry out and for the bugs to vacate the premises. All right, so I want to use some of these little, that's like a little shelf mushroom. I gotta make sure that it's not too thick to close the box back down. So make sure that you kind of take the lid, put it on there, take it off, put it on there. You can, if you don't have a box like this, y'all just go get one of those clear display boxes at Dollar Tree. You know, you could use that, or you can use, probably take the back off of a bank, the little Dollar Tree banks. I've done that before. So I want to put these down here where they look like they make sense to me, where they just feel right. I want to put them with the top side up, just like Mother Nature did it. And then, because they usually come in little clusters, I wanted to put some in a cluster, and that's what I did there on the bottom. And what you see is not dirt on the back of those mushrooms. That's actually where they've been pulled off the tree. There's some little sticks that you can get at Dollar Tree, and I want to use these in different little textures and sizes to go across the border, the corners. And you have to make sure that you put them far enough on the inside that you can still get your lid on, so be mindful of that and don't overlap into that space that we have on the sides. You want everything to fit there. And then the part where I put the lights on is going to be missing. So you just take your string of lights, I'll tell you how to do it. Take that string of lights and just go all around the edge of the moss mat, all the way around. It's on wire, so all you have to do is tack it down with a little bit of hot glue. Be patient, let it dry before you move on. To me, that is gorgeous. That's so pretty. It's very, I don't know, cottage core, fairy core, goblin core. It's just got that really woodland. It's just an aesthetic that I really, really enjoy. So you can use the little lights with the box on the back, and I'll show you how you attach it. So there it is with the wire on the inside. You can see I went around the edges. You can barely see it in there against that dark moss. And I've just glued the little thing on the back, and you can glue yours on the back too. Let's see what it looks like when you light it. Oh yeah, look at that. Almost like little dragonflies are there, or maybe that's a little fairy dust that's glowing on the sides. I think so. I think it's appropriate too, because we're going to be doing, the next project is going to be fairy related. So I think that these two fit together pretty well. And then you get a tour of my ceiling there, my camera and the ceiling fan. You can watch my videos on Monday and Thursday at 6 p.m. Central Standard Time. You don't have to use lights if you don't want to. You don't have to use those butterflies. You don't have to use that moss. I'm so tickled that he enjoys my projects, comes downstairs and checks it all out. I really appreciate y'all stopping by today. Most of these supplies came from the Dollar Tree. We're going to take a triangle shadow box and several of these wooden ornaments. They come in packs of multiples. Don't forget to like, comment, and share. And then we're going to take the peel and stick vinyl. This came from Dirt Cheap, but it originally came from Target. It's like a peel and stick paper. You can use contact paper, you can glue down some construction paper or scrapbook paper, whatever you choose to use. But I wanted white in the background with a little bit of like shine to it so that it would reflect the lights that I put inside. So to take this apart, if you just gently press down on the corners and lift up on the frame, it should come out pretty well for you. And then I went ahead and started peeling the paper off of the sign. After peeling it, you can get a sanding block or a little bit of sandpaper and just go ahead and make your surface smooth so that you can put your peel and stick vinyl on there and you won't have any problems with bubbling or raised up areas. If it's a flat finish, then you don't see that stuff so much, but if you have any shine or reflection on the paper, then you will see that. You'll see any bumps underneath it. I'm just using the back to trace out my paper. Then I will cut it out. Then you get your fingernail between the edges of the paper and the backing, and then just carefully put that on. I've never tried to sand vinyl, so maybe you could. I'm not sure. If you do know whether or not you can sand vinyl, you can put that in the comments. It might help someone else. I'm going to use my wooden ruler and just flatten this out, get the bubbles and ridges out. And because it was sanded underneath, I have a nice smooth finish. Oh, and I also used some Fix-All. I remember when I did this, if I'm not used to working with vinyl, so I didn't know if the hot glue would stick or if it would pop off like it does on glass. So I used a little bit of Fix-All and it is still together. Fix-All is for long-term hold, and the hot glue is just going to keep the piece together while I get it all assembled. And I had a little bit of hot glue come out, and I'm just cleaning that up with some tweezers. So in order to make this three-dimensional, I need to have something to hold them up and out. So I use these little blocks that came from the crafters area in Dollar Tree, and they'll work great. You're going to take your ornaments and place them inside in the position that you would like for them to be in. I always do this before I glue anything down. I want to be sure that everything is placed where I'd like it. I want to take this tree and cut it down because I want there to be some variation in the height. And these two little trees with the holes are going to be on the outside. I think the light will shine through them nicely. I'm going to use some dull scissors that I have and just kind of scratch into the surface where I want my edge to be. In my mind, if I did this, I could just bend it and it would just snap an even line, but it didn't quite do that. It needed a little more attention, so I got my bull nose pliers. I'm just going to sand it down so I don't have any splinters or rough edges. And so now I have a smaller tree to put on this edge. All right, now it's time to get these in order. Now if you use the tower blocks, they're a little bit longer and they are thinner. So you can see there's a difference in the size there, which will make a difference in the depth when you put these down, so they will be layered out and not sitting on top of one another. So it creates shadows and light, and that's what I want in this light up shadow box. Makes sense, right? Okay, you can get a string of lights from Dollar Tree if you'd like. These are just the ones on the copper line. I got these from Dirt Cheap, and they're essentially the same thing, but they originally came from Target. Now I'm going to use the hot glue. Didn't use E6000 on this. Just a little hot glue to tack it down. It doesn't weigh very much. We won't be touching it a lot, so it should stay there. If not, I'll fix it later. I got a new tripod. So if you've been around since the beginning, seeing all these wonky camera angles, then I thank you for your patience. Hopefully it's going to get better real soon. I'm going to keep trying until I feel like I get it exactly like I want it. And we're just layering. So the back is one layer, the Christmas tree that is solid is the next layer, then the truck, and then when we get to the outside, these two trees are the outside layer. Cute so far, right? Looks like he's riding through the forest picking his Christmas tree out. So here are the lights. I've got my batteries in and checked them before I went through the process of using them. Always do that. Check your lights before you use them. Otherwise, you're going to have to disassemble the entire thing. And that's a pain if we can avoid it. So, excuse me getting in the way a little bit. At the end of this line, there is, you can see there's some area where there is no light. And I'm using that area to go around the bottom of the box. And it's just a piece of that thin wiring. So the box will still sit flat. It doesn't have any bulkiness to it. I'm just taping that down for now, and then pressing down the lights and winding them all through the back layer. Because this is on a thin wire, it's really easy to move around and manipulate. You can just press it down and twist it around wherever you want it. At the very end, there's a little light all the way to the end, so I went ahead and put that through the hole in the top of the Christmas tree. So there's a little light up Christmas star on one of the trees. I'm just pressing that a little to the side so that it will secure itself. And then you want to be sure that you hide all of your wiring behind it. Oh my goodness, look how cute. Isn't that adorable? It's like a sunset behind the forest. It's very Scandinavian looking to me because there's no bright colors or anything. But of course, if you like bright colors, then feel free to use some wild scrapbook paper and get your acrylic markers or your paint and color your ornaments before you put them down. You can even use flashing colorful lights if you like. So I'm just fixing a little area on the back with some glue and a piece of wire and a piece of paper that will hold my battery pack. I don't want to glue it down. And this way it's secured to the back and I can easily remove it. And I can use this triangle or this box for another project later if I want to. Isn't that cute? This really did turn out better than I thought. I did get some inspiration from Pinterest, so I'll give credit there. But I think it turned out cute. What do you think? Do you like this? What would you do differently? I think the kids are going to love it. As always, thanks for stopping by and crafting with me. I appreciate you coming back time after time to watch my videos. I'd love it if you subscribe if you like these types of videos.
All right, we're going to take a bank from the Dollar Tree, napkins of your choice, some spider rings, possibly these necklaces, and some Mod Podge. I'm going to take the bank apart, and it just fell apart, so, you know, that's always nice. A little less work for me to have to do. On the inside of the box is where this is stamped, and it's like painted on or whatever on there. So I'm just taking my little knife here and scraping it off without scratching my glass. I'm going to use my little vacuum here and suck out all that glitter. And then I'm going to wipe it down with a little alcohol and a paper towel on the front and on the back of the glass. I'm going to paint the backing white. And the reason I'm painting this white is because I want the brightness of the white to be underneath the orange, which will make it a lot lighter instead of muddy looking if you put it on the brown. I'm carefully and slowly using my rotary blade and my mat to cut out the trick or treat on this little napkin. This is not a dinner size napkin, this is smaller than that. It's 2 ply, so I'm just going to separate my plies. Okay, some footage is missing, so just go along with it here. Let's pretend like it's the backing. We're going to put Mod Podge on it. We're going to take a brush and go both directions, all the way to the corners. We're going to take our napkin, place it in the center. You're going to hold it and press outward, gently tapping and pressing outward to get your wrinkles out as much as you can. Gently. I can't stress gently enough. Then after it's dry, we're going to take some ribbon to trace it out. And we're going to put a black ribbon. You can definitely get these at most Dollar Trees now. Going to use some hot glue to attach it to the back. You don't have to use any glue on the front. You see, you can just pull that back and forth until you get it exactly level, and then you can glue it on. Okay, so once that is on, you're going to take your orange Rick Rack. This is what I have. I got it at the thrift store, but you can use a different, or you don't have to use anything at all right here. Or you could use jute if you wanted. Then you're going to do the same thing here, a little hot glue, and then this is how it will look. Okay, so we're using our imagination. We are also going to do the sides and the bottom. We're going to take 2 of those little rings with the stones. I chose orange, black, and white in most of my projects here, so we're going to do the same thing here. I'm going to cut the ring section off of the spiders, and I'm going to put them layered over the edge and onto the center, and I'm going to add some hot glue, and then just place it down where they are facing each other, very nicely facing each other. Okay, and then if the sides were done, you get the idea. That's how it would look. Okay, so you can see up there in the corner, that's how it looks when it is done. And I'm going to now take some lights and put on the inside of the box. Now, I have cork lights, but Dollar Tree does have lights that you can use, that you put the batteries in, and they're on a little line like this on a wire, and they have little lights in there. You can definitely use those. The wire is bendy, and you can use cool temp glue on these. So just be sure that you do that. You can use the little clamps to hold it in place until your glue sets up so that nothing pulls loose in the corner and you don't burn your fingers. And you're going to do that all the way around until you've used up all the wire. Leave your little battery pack on the outside, and it is thread through the bottom through the bank opening where you would put the coins. So that's how you would get it in there. All right, so now I'm going to press it back down, and it really pops back in easily. Then I'm going to use some hot glue and just go right in between in a couple of sections on each side so that it does not pop back out. Because we flipped it upside down where the opening for the coins is on the bottom instead of the top. Then you can just hold it, put something on it to hold it in place until it is dry. And this is how it is going to look. When you turn it on, it's going to be nice and gorgeous. Isn't that pretty? I love that. And the lights just sparkle on those spiders. It's really eye-catching. This would be so cute on a tiered tray or anywhere in your house. And you can see how it looks when we turn the lights off. So bright, right? I love this. I hope you try it. I hope you try at least one of these projects. They're super cool and easy to make with Dollar Tree items. Love knowing that the love that I put out there for you guys is reciprocated and that you appreciate what I'm doing here on my channel. I'm going to use the frame that I thrifted And this cup that I thrifted. Did you know that on the inside of these cups there's actually a plastic film with the pictures on it? Yes, so if you just crack the top, you can pull that film right out. And now you have something you can use in your decor. So if you have a broken cup that's got a crack in it, you can always take the insert out and use it in your DIYs. I'm going to cut out the section that I would like to use. So it's going to be the moon and the owl section with just a bat on it, or maybe 2 bats. I'm going to trim it out carefully, and then when I get to the bottom, I'm going to be sure that I round it because it's actually kind of square on the bottom of the moon, but I want to round that out so it looks better in my frame. Now once we've got the piece that we like, we can just put it down on the glass. Now this is one of those frames that has a glass in the front and the back, so there's no solid background. It's almost going to look like it's floating in there. So I'm just going to use some double stick tape to put this down. You can also use some Mod Podge, but be sure that when you put the tape down or the Mod Podge, that you put it down on the opaque parts, right? If that makes sense, not on the clear sections, because you don't want to see your tape in there. So if you put it behind the sections that are colored, then you won't necessarily see it. It'll kind of blend in. So you're just going to press it down wherever you put your pieces until you get it in the right spot. And right here I had a little section. I thought I could use just a little more tape, so I'm sliding a little piece under there and it is sticking to my dry fingers. Craziness. Alright, so this is what it's going to look like. Such a pretty little vintage picture. I love that. The little owl is precious. Alright, I'm going to put the frame on the back, or the back glass on there. And this actually did not come with both pieces of glass. It only came with one. So I used an 8x10 from another frame and took it out. And it's like an older glass, so it's kind of frosty looking. Totally fine. It's clean. It's going to be fine. Alright, so on the inside of that glass, I'm going to add some hot glue and some of this black paper shred. You can definitely get this type of shred at Dollar Tree. If you can't find black, you can use brown or whatever coordinates with your picture. I use hot glue here, and I do suggest you use your finger protectors if you're going to do this, just so you don't burn your fingers. Then cut off whatever is going to be in the way of putting your back frame down, or your back glass. And then I'm going to take a string of lights that I have, and I'm just going to squish them down and press them into that grass. Well, the shred. Very, very pretty. It's on a copper line, so it is going to be a yellow light rather than a bright white light. Y'all please excuse my voice. Everybody in the house has been sick for a couple of weeks now, and my voice is still weird. It's kind of in and out and scratchy sounding, and my throat gets kind of weird. So bear with me. I'm going to try my best to get this out for you. Okay, so I'm going to use some hot glue here, and I'm going to go all around the edges. You could use like a silicone, if you have like the silicone sealers like you use in the bathroom, that would be perfect here. And then you wouldn't have to worry about burning your fingers. But I'm just going to use this to seal in my edges. And I have a little gap in the bottom, and you can see that I glued the line off to the side. And I'm just putting a couple of layers on here because I don't want this glass to slip out. It is actually above the frame. So I'm going to use a little extra protection in the corners. I'm going to use some hot glue and a little tab of paper. I've got it cut like in a triangle so you won't see it through the glass when you have it sitting up and ready to display. I don't want to see that, so it kind of disappears. And we flip it over and turn on the lights. And isn't it cute? I love light up projects. I hope y'all are not tired of seeing those from me because they just look so magical, and kids really love them too. And for the ones of us who are young at heart, we love them too.
All right, we're going to start off with one of my purple glue sticks. I've got some string lights. Mine came from TEMU, but you can get yours from anywhere. This is a little banner sign, also from TEMU. This is a frame that I am recycling. I used this when I very first started my channel, I did a little shadow box with this. So you're just going to need a frame that is going to be big enough for the picture that you have and is going to fit over the top of the box you're going to use. So we're going to make sort of like a shadow box here. I'll just be using this glue stick to put this down on the inside of this box. If you use hot glue, that's fine, but I would stick to the corners rather than going all the way over the picture so you don't get a bunch of lumps and bumps when your light shines on it. It'll be nice and smooth. I'm just going to press it down with my hand a little bit, and then I'll turn it to make sure that I've kind of got it centered. And then see the beauty of a glue stick, you can still move it a little bit till you get your right position. And then I'll just press it with my hands, and then I'll grab a little tool and put this all down. You can use a credit card, your driver's license, any flat edge that is narrow. You can use that to kind of squeegee down your project. All right, see? Stuck nicely. Now I'm just going to undo this here. These are little LED lights, and they have 3 different modes. This is not a sponsored video, but I really like these, and I got them in a pack of, I think, 12. So they work great for these kind of projects. All right, so I'm going to use some mounting tape. You can use regular tape on the top if you would like, but this seems to do the trick for me. It's sort of like a gel, it's kind of squishy, and you can press the wire straight down into it, which makes it great for this type of project, in my humble opinion. I'm going to do a little bit of tape on each of the corners on the frame. If you don't want to put them on the back of the frame, you could always put them on the box, but for me, I don't want it to show up at all. I don't want to see it at all from any angle, and if I put it on the frame itself, you're not going to see any of that lighting hardware. Well, you might see the little control box. You might see that, but you got to look hard for it. Okay, so now a little tip for you. For me, I get back around to the same, and then you end up, it seems like the lights overlap, and you get them in the same pattern. So what you can do is bend your wire a little bit, like I did over here in the corner. Bend it, and then that'll change the position of the lights that you put down. So I'm going to go all the way around, and you'll see when I turn the lights on what I mean. Instead of a bunch of like 3 lights stacked on top of each other, I want it to be more of an even kind of distribution of the lighting. And this helps a little. It's still not perfect, but it does help a little bit. So you can see where the little bubbles are in the line. That's where the lights are. Do this any way you would like, though. Certainly don't have to do it this way. Now I'll use some of the same mounting tape. I'm just going to kind of double it up, hit it on the back. And y'all, another tip. Check your lights before you do all the work of putting them in place, because if you don't and the lights don't work, then you are out of luck. Do you see what I mean there? Now I have a little more of an even distribution of the lights. I'm going to use just little Velcro dots. You know, they have a soft side and a prickly side. So I'm going to put the soft side down on the corners of this wooden box. And y'all just keep in mind, my videos are for inspiration. Think about how you can do it. If you want to use a different size, you can. Go to Dollar Tree and get a Halloween card. They have beautiful Halloween cards, right? Get a card. Use a card for this instead. It would certainly work. Get your frame there, get your box there, paint it, however you want to do it. All right, so I've put the backs on there too, and now I'm just going to squeeze them and press them, and now I can still open the top, and if I wanted to change some things out, I could. Yay! Pretty simple, right? So if the lights are out, this is how it's going to look. I think it's cute. So you can see the box a little bit down there, but you can always paint it black. But I'm going to cover it up. I know exactly what I'm going to do here. So we got our skeleton, our witch, our ghost, and our cat, right? Our classics. I'm going to put a little bit of fog in there. I'm going to sort of make this look like a little fog. And it's on the underside. It's going to tuck right in above the lights and cover up that light box. Love it when a project comes together. How simple is that? Anybody can do this project. You can probably use some things you already have around your house to do this and save yourself a lot of money. But it's so cute. And it would be adorable at a Halloween party. You can see all the little spooks in there in their little costumes. Now, you see the different lighting effects. And y'all, if you're sensitive to strobe lights, you might not want to watch this video because I will have them on and off. I'm going to start off with some of these little, I'm not even exactly sure what you would call these. I got them from TEMU. They're not stickers, but they're like a plastic. And I found the perfect way to use them, y'all. They're gorgeous. I'm going to take some of this olive green paint. Definitely going to need to be a green foresty color. You'll need some little lights, little LED lights. You can use the strings. I'm going to show you how to use the string lights and the little tea light. You'll need a variety of greenery. Just grab that box of scraps y'all have. This is perfect for these projects. I've got a finger sander. You can use sandpaper, a sanding block, what you have. I have some little moss-covered stones, some dried moss, and then I also have some of this really pretty moss that I have in this box. These are boxes that I got a big box of 2 years ago, I think, from the thrift store. These are the only 5 I have left. I've been using them. All right, you can see they had like little openings there on the bottom, like maybe they were supposed to have lids, but those weren't in the boxes. So I am going to take my sander and go all over these. They're a little bit rough. You don't have to use these. Go and grab some of those little signs you can get at Dollar Tree and just use those. All right, after you sand, you need to be sure that you get all of the dust off because we don't want anything interfering with our paint. See that? Look at all that dust. You don't necessarily see it, but it's definitely there. So get it all off, clean it up. We're going to take it outside and I'm going to spray all these down with this spray paint. I only had a little bit left, so my coverage wasn't as great as I hoped it would be, although I wasn't looking for solid coverage anyway. But I'll show you how I fix that. Just remember, we don't stop, right? We don't let little things like that get us down. Now I'm going to fill up the holes. If you get the boxes from Dollar Tree, you don't have to worry about this step, but just in case, I want to show you what you can do if you have them. Just a little lightweight spackling right down in there and then take the excess off. I'm going to let it dry. And then over all those holes, and because I have, oh, look, the glove. Dun dun, dun 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 dun, dun 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 dun. Yes, we're going to protect our hands. So I've got those beautiful gloves back out. I'm going to use a paint color that is very similar to that olive that I put down. I think this is called Ivy. And I'm just going to use that to kind of pounce all over. And this is a torn sponge, just like a bath sponge you can get from Dollar Tree. I've torn it into regular shapes and I like to use it for projects like this. I'm not looking for solid coverage because I want it to look woodsy and rustic, and I want it to look like, you know, maybe when you look up through the trees when you're in the forest taking a little walk and you see that filtered sunlight coming through. I like the look of that. And, you know, you can certainly emulate that on your box. If you don't have spray paint, don't worry about this. Go ahead in with any color green chalk paint or acrylic paint you have and just get the coverage that you like. Okay, we're going to make it our own. Let everything dry, and we're going to start with project number 1. All right, so this is the one I chose for the first box, and all of these are different. Look at those beautiful mushrooms. Do you see the shine on there? I'm not digging the shine, but I'll show you how to fix that also. Now, I know that I want this to be dimensional, so I want to be able to make it like a shadow box, right? We're going to see textures, we're going to see depth, we're going to see different levels in there. So I'm just getting an idea of where I want it, and because I want everything to be flush on the outside, I don't want anything overhanging in this particular project. However, if you like them overhanging, go right ahead. My idea is if you have them where they don't overhang and nothing sticks out the top, you can stack these 5 together and put them away when you're not using them. You can stack them while you're moving them around. Perfect. You know, we got to make our life a little easier. So these little blocks came from Dollar Tree. You can get a package in the Crafter Square, and they work great for supports for these. Okay, so I'm going to figure out where I want to position this. Keeping in mind that when I put these blocks down, I'm going to need a space there to put the hardware down, either for the light switch for the string lights or for the little candle tea light itself. All right, so I'm making sure that you can't see the lighter color through that, the design that is there on the little plastic piece we're using. And I want to make sure, and if it is, y'all don't worry about it, because I'll show you how you can paint it if that's an issue, okay? But you can't see it. It's pretty opaque. The print is really nice on these. So I know that I got them where I want them. I'm going to go ahead and take a sponge brush and that same paint that I used on the outside of these boxes, and to kind of fill in where my spray paint didn't cover. And I'm just going to use a little bit of that on these blocks and then let them dry so nothing is going to show. You can do this ahead of time on all the blocks if you want to, but this is a new project for me. I've never done these before, so you're going to see me take the long way around to figure it out. Now I want these more matte, so I'm going to take this matte paint. It's just a clear matte spray, and I'll show you how you can change those to a matte color. All right, I'm going to do all the ones I'm choosing today and set them aside and let them dry. Just a very light coat. Now I'm going to take my moss pieces and start playing around with what I want to go where. The thought process is that I want to have some height. I want it to look like, you know, there's some dimension. So I'm using all these different types of little mushrooms and stones and moss to do that. Now these came out of the Easter section at Dollar Tree, 2 different size mushrooms, and I want to change the color. They're just foam, y'all. They're easy to paint. So I'm just taking some matte linen colored paint, and I'm going to go all over the bottoms with this and let it dry. And then the top, I'm going to use chocolate brown, and I will stab them in some foam and let them dry, and you'll see it later. Now look at the difference that makes. Now we have one that's matte, and then there's one that's shiny. I definitely like the matte better, so that's what we're going to go with. But you can skip this step and not even have to do that if you don't want to do it. But now I can see that there's a perfect little place there for our candle. See, here they are all dried, my little brown mushrooms, and I painted over this one too because it was just white on the bottom and I wanted it to be a little more realistic looking for this. Then I'm going to take scraps like I told you. Grab that scrap box of all those greenery pieces that you haven't used. I've got some sticks here. They're just plastic, and and you'll see a better look at that later, what the big ones look like. And I've just taken little pieces off. They're plastic all the way through. These particular ones don't have any wire in them, so you could really just cut them with your scissors. In fact, I think I do later in the video. All right, so I'm playing around now. I like to put everything kind of in place where I think I might want it before I glue anything down. All right, I'm gonna check twice before we glue it down. Kind of like measure twice and cut once. It's kind of the same kind of thought, I think. So here is some of that preserved moss, and no, I did not preserve it myself when I bought it. It came this way. I'm looking to see how I want it to fit. Do we want it to look like a little hill? Do we want it to be flat? Do I want to see the underneath part or just the top? It's all customizable. You can do it exactly how you like it. You can leave the bottom flat if you want. You could use some type of astroturf. You could just paint it green, however you like it. So all of these boxes, and there are 5 of them, I have created all these for y'all, for my people who love the forest look, for the ones who loved miniatures, because so many of y'all say you love the little miniatures. So these are for inspiration, okay? You can buy mosses at Dollar Tree. You can get them at any craft store. Just check your prices. Make sure that you're not spending more than you have to. So I like the idea of the tree being kind of behind. I'm going to add some glue there. Tap it down. Make sure it leaks back there behind the moss. Kind of seeps back there. And then you can start adding in your layers. So this is just a piece of like a evergreen that came off of some of my Christmas decor stuff. Picked it off. And then I'll just place it down in there. A little glue to the bottom so it stays in place. You can take some glue and glue the branches down in the back if you want to. Got a little bit of fern in here. Add that maybe to the clump. See how that looks. And then I can glue it down. You're going to see me using interchangeably the small glue gun and the big glue gun. I keep them both on, and I use them when one runs out of glue. I just grab the other one, or if I have a bigger area that needs to be done, I get the big one. If I've got something fine that needs to be done, then I'll use the smaller one. I'm going to place this right in between, and the reason I'm putting down this first is because I need to make sure, since it's wider than the box itself, that I can get it glued down and have enough room that I don't pop the picture back off. So I'll use a little bit of E6000, and then just a little bit, really, I'm just kind of rubbing that in, so it's a really thin line, because to finish this project, I need to have a quick grasp, right? A quick grip on there so I can move on and show y'all what to do. Otherwise, these types of projects would probably take me a week. And since I put out 2 videos a week, yeah, I do have a family. I gotta do other things, right? All right, so now I'm going to take my little cutters here, and I'm just going to clip off some of these mushrooms and decide where I want to put them. Of course, they're going to be growing near or on the moss. We like that. Growing off the old stuff, probably from the roots of that tree in the background. I love the layers in here and the look of it. All right, so now let's see what it looks like once we get it lit up. Oh my goodness, y'all cannot imagine the joy and excitement when I put the lights on inside of each one of these boxes. And each style is a little bit different. So, pick and choose which one you like the best, which one you think you want to copy, or by all means, do all of them. These are so pretty and warm, and I'll show you in the end what it looks like with a white light instead of the warm lights too. Hey, come check out my new videos on Mondays and Thursdays at 6 p.m. I'll see you in the comments. Okay, second project. Let's see what it looks like. So these are the next 2. And so instead of doing 1, we got you warmed up with 1. Let's try 2 and see what we want to do for that. Also measuring here, and I'm going to trim off so that it's flat and nothing's hanging and snagging on the edges. Want it to be flat. So I'll just cut it off. And it's got an outline of the clear. I'm going to say plastic. I'll refer to it as plastic, but I really am not sure what the material is. This is not a sticker. It's not a transfer. Yeah, I don't know. But if you want the link, let me know in the comments, and I'll see if I can grab it for you. All right, so we're going to add dimension. I'm going to have to use different size blocks here in order to get different size, a different depth of dimension. So I'm just using these little, they're like a painted building block. You can use something like a Jenga block for this, or the little building blocks you get from Dollar Tree. They're perfect for this. I'm not going to use hot glue at this time because I didn't know if hot glue would melt it for sure, but yeah, it doesn't. And then I'm going to add the E6000 and place it down over the areas that are opaque, so you can't see through it. All right, so now, since I've laid it out, I kind of know where I need my blocks to be. If you're the kind of person who likes to measure and everything has to be exact, go ahead and do that here. But I find when I'm crafting, I just kind of go by my eye. That's my personal preference, and it has pretty much always worked for me. But, if you need to measure things out, then go ahead and do that and get your proper measurements, and then glue your things down. Always making sure that you have enough room here that you can fit your tea light or whatever you're using, and also so that it is not showing. Now, it just didn't need to be painted, so I didn't worry with painting it here. You see, it kind of rounds over that light just a tad, but that's okay. And maybe your box won't do that. Maybe if you get something like a shadow box from Dollar Tree and you redo it, maybe you won't even need to do this step, and you could do it a lot faster than I did. I'm going to take some scraps and put in the corner because I know that I'm going to put the one with the castle up there. Look how beautiful that is. I'm going to put that up there, and I want it to look like there's a tree behind it. So then I'll add my hot glue to the blocks and place it down up top. Now my lighting got a little dark here for some reason, so I had to use an adjustment in my editor. So it's going to look a little funky for a little while, and I do apologize for that, but there's no way else for me to fix it. So yeah, so y'all just bear with me for just a minute. Okay, so now I'm gonna put my moss under here. I want it to almost look like little hills. And you could use rocks or stones here if you wanted to. You could use, see the little blocks to the left? You could use those if you wanted to. But I wanted it to look like, since it's an arch that goes to the inside, I wanted it to almost look like if you climb the hill, you could go right in there and go up to that beautiful turret, the top of that little castle. In between the stones, of course, we're gonna have more moss growing, right? You could even tuck some mushrooms in there if you wanted to. Y'all go buy those mushrooms at Dollar Tree. If I get back to Dollar Tree anytime soon, I'm going to go ahead and grab several of them. There's purple, pink, there's a teal color, I think. But they can be painted so easily, and it is such a cheap way to have mushrooms in your decor. All right. And believe me, y'all, I don't take more than I need. I don't. I'm not that person that wipes the shelves out at Dollar Tree, but you do you. Okay. So now this one is going to go more toward the front. I'm going to add, again, some E6000 and just a couple little dots here and there. I forget what I do from project to project, so I just go ahead and do my own thing, and if I mess up, I tell you I mess up. All right, and again, it's a little tiny bit rounded outward because of the candle. That's why I put the candle there, so I could get my measurement right and glue it in the right spot. Now here are these picks. These came from TEMU. I'm going to tell you, like I tell you in most of my videos, I don't encourage you to go anywhere you don't want to go, do anything you don't believe in, or feel uncomfortable about anything. However, on this channel, there's no need for us to discuss it. If you don't want to use products that I use from a particular place I use it from, I'm encouraging you to take the inspiration and go see what you can find. You could probably find a branch maybe in your yard or in a park that you could cut and use to do the same thing. But I love the green and black on here. It looks moss covered and it's perfect for my projects. I use so many crafting supplies that I'm always looking for the cheapest option. A, for you, so that you have no reason to let your, your budget or whatever interfere with your crafting. And B, because I go through a lot of material here and I do recycle a lot of things. So good quality is important to me. All right, so now with that said, let's keep going. I'm going to continue to add, and look at all the depth we have here. There's branches behind the castle. We got a tree in front of it. I'm taking some little branchy pieces. I took a placemat that was like a bunch of sticks together, and I took the entire thing apart, and I have been using the sticks off of 2 placemats for years in my crafts, and I absolutely love them. It just gives it a little something extra, right? A little extra look. We're going to continue to add. Do you like it better with the 1, or do you like having the 2 in there? Because I think either way is really pretty. Look at the little mushrooms picked in there. How cute. I love it. I look at all of my projects, all from side to side, back and forth, to make sure that everything is how I like it. And then look. Oh, look at it lit up. Isn't that beautiful? It looks like the sunset, like you're walking into the sunset. Beautiful. Everybody's asleep at the castle. They're going to party. They're going down the hill to party. Thank you to all my channel members. You help my channel financially so everyone else can enjoy free content. You can find info on becoming a member in the description box below. Project number 3. Okay, here are the 2 I have chosen for this. One of them almost looks like a treehouse. It's really cool. What if you have something on there you don't want to use? Like this little section looks kind of springy, and I really don't want that in here because I don't want this to be specific to any season. We want this to be an evergreen project. So we can have this in our home decor any time of the year, no matter what, and it looks good. Right? All right, y'all have seen this process. Right now, y'all know exactly what to do to get this braced. Decide which one you want in the front, which one you want on the back. I'm going to use a little bit of E6000 to put down these blocks. The thicker or the thinner your pieces of wood or supports is going to make a difference in how far forward or how flat it lays. We know that, right? Then there's beautiful, beautiful fern pieces. I'm going to add those. what I'm going to add in the back. You can layer those. You can cut those into different heights and different, you know, lengths. That one I glued right to the back of the supporting block in the front. It gives a little shadow between there. Look at this piece of branch. Very nice. You can trim as needed. We'll put this one in the back. This part is pretty repetitive, right? This is pretty much what you have seen me do on the other ones as well. I want to remind everybody that February is, I believe, Women's Heart Health Month. I want you to be sure that you're advocating for yourself. If you are having problems or concerns, don't just think that, oh, that's just what it is and leave it alone. If you feel something particular in your body and you feel something's not right, I want you to be sure that you seek help. Get a second opinion if needed. I almost lost a very dear friend because things were overlooked and not done properly. And thank goodness she's still here because, yeah. Just advocate for yourselves, y'all. Just advocate. Okay, now look, we're going to use the little fairy lights with this one. And they're on a wire, so you can bend them, you can reposition them, you can twist them, and you can hot glue them. You sure can. So I can't reach in there well with that gun, right? With the little glue gun. So I'm just going to add a little glue onto the stick and press it down to hold that light exactly how I want it. They're positioned pretty much like around the lights, the windows there, and inside of the opening. I like that. I'm going to pull it down and put the light on the block, the support block, and kind of glue that in place. Be sure y'all are protecting your fingers for these things. I've gotten so used to this, like I've said before, that I'm a little bit better at positioning and not burning myself, the safety aspect of it. But I want y'all to be very careful. And just because maybe you burn yourself but you don't even feel it, that's not a good thing, y'all. That means you have decreased sensation in your fingers, and that's not a good thing. That's because then how do you know if you've hurt yourself, right? If that's the situation, you need to go to your doctor and let them know that you don't have good sensation in your fingers or your feet or wherever else. You know, I'm not saying I'm a medical professional. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is I love y'all. And I don't want any unnecessary wounds while we're trying to do something for joy in our life, right? We don't need that. No, we don't. All right, so now I'm just winding this back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, so that it's going to light up underneath that archway. These little boxes on here are very easy to stick down. Use whatever fairy lights you have. Again, mine came from TEMU because I can get like a 10-pack for just a few dollars, and I use the heck out of these. Got lots of light up projects. And once I get them in place, you know, you don't have to use hot glue to put it down, though. You could use double stick tape if you wanted to. And I'll show you how to do that in another one of these in a bit later. All right, so I'm going to take some glue and I'm going to hold it up there for a while until it is still, and then I can reinforce it with a little more glue to kind of build up. Almost like the roots support a tree, I'm kind of building it up so that it has more support. And then right on the side, if I don't want it scooting around, like I said, I want mine to be pretty flat. Then I can glue it there. When you start adding in your moss or whatever the bottom or the floor of the box will be, that's going to give you more support also to your pieces. This preserved moss, you can just tear chunks off and use it. You can just do that with the moss you get from Dollar Tree. You just tear off sections and just poke it down in there until it is as thick as you want it. Moss does shed, so you might want to do these projects over maybe you could even use like a pizza tray or a pizza pan or a cookie sheet so you can collect it, easily clean up between projects and just kind of dump it in the trash. I'm going to tuck another little branch behind it. So we have stuff in front of them, we have stuff behind them, all around the sides. It's looking very woodsy. It's looking as if you're standing at the edge of the woods and looking into the woods and seeing all the nooks and crannies and beautiful greenery and the mystical lights, the beautiful little lights. We could call these lights fireflies. We could call it just interior lighting in here, or we could call them fairies. Couldn't we call them fairies? fairies or pixies. We could. It's all in your perspective. All right, I want to add this beautiful mushroom on here, so I'm just going to cut a chunk off of it so that it will lay flat inside the box. But don't throw that chunk away because we're going to use that in just a minute. All right, now I have a flat surface. I'm going to put glue here and down the stem and tuck it back in here. Y'all know my love for mushrooms, right? And all things mini. All right, so now I'm going to take that little piece that's left and I'm going to put it on the bottom like a shelf mushroom. Isn't that great? We didn't even waste any piece of that mushroom. I love that. So now our lights are on, and this is how this one looks. This might be my favorite. I'm not entirely sure. I have a special place for all of them, though. Isn't that adorable? I would really appreciate it if you're enjoying these to please share these on your social media. It helps my channel tremendously, and a lot of people don't even know I'm around, right? We want to let them know. Project number 4. All right, now look at this one with these beautiful lanterns hanging out of the trees. I love this. This looks like a wedding party. All right, so now for this project, we're just going to take those fairy lights and we're going to go all around the inside of the box. You don't have to use hot glue for this part if you don't want to, but you certainly can. And if you don't want to use that, you can use some double stick mounting tape. Problem with the mounting tape is it's a little bit bulky, so you're not going to be able to hide it as easily as you can when you use the hot glue. Now that's just my opinion. You can do this any way you want to. It's so lightweight that if you don't give it a minute to catch that wire, it'll pull away when you go to your next place. So I just use a little stick or something to help me press it down into the corners and just keep moving along. This string that it's on, or it's not a string, the wire, it's like a double wire, but it's very thin. Look at it all overlapped on itself all the way around, and then there's some double stick tape on the back to hold it in place. Now I can turn it off, and I'm going to paint that hardware with that same color. Let it dry. I'm also going to take a fine tip brush, and I'm just going to go over any places where the wire is very obvious. If you turn your light on, you can really see to get the areas that don't have lights in them. I'm also going to take my brush and make some little squiggles like vines or, whatever throughout. You won't necessarily see them, but if you don't have the greenery, you can certainly do that. Let's do a little hand painting, right? Now, I didn't have the right width to stand this one up in the back, so I just used 2 little pieces of the wood that comes from Dollar Tree. You can get like a little meshy basket of them, and I just decided to use that. I want all these to look a little different and special. All right, so I'm going to put the back piece down. Oh, I'm sorry, y'all. I think I said back. You know what I mean. You can tell what I'm doing here. See, there, right there. Now I'm going to use these pieces right here to help stand it up. This will get it. If you don't have the little blocks, you can use something like this. I want you to know that you have options, so I always try to show you those options. If anything starts to come loose, just add a little more glue. Maybe you don't put enough on in the first place, just add a little more. Give it time for your E6000 or your super glue to work. I love the look of these little pods. Now, I don't know what they necessarily are, but I think that the bulbous look of them looks really nice with this. So we're gonna go with it. Now the middle of these happen to be open, so I can actually take the glue gun and go right in between there to put my pieces down. These are 2 different packs. One of them is more like arbors, and the other one is more like the little mushroom tree type thing. So it's actually 2 packs, and I still have plenty left. And I really, really think that right now is the perfect time to do a giveaway and let you guys enjoy some of these as well. So I'm going to send whoever plays correctly, I'm going to send you 4 of these. So you can do 4 boxes or you can do 2 boxes, whatever. I'm going to send you 4 of them, okay? What I need you to do is tell me which one is your favorite box, 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5, and then tell me why. Then you will be entered for a chance to win. And you got to be 18 years old, and this has nothing to do with YouTube, and they're not responsible or anything like that. Okay? And I don't care where you live. You don't have to be just United States. You can be Canada. You can be wherever. All right, so because we can see in the middle, I want to put some more depth in here. What does dark color do? It gives you more depths. It puts it in the back. So I'm adding more darkness in here to create more shadow. Very easy to do. And you can also go back over and add in the background if you need to add. I always like to do a little something extra. If you see any more wires that are exposed, go ahead and cover those at this time. Nice. Now I'm grabbing up my mushrooms and I'm going to add those here and there. And then I had some of these pretty little flowers, and I thought, well, heck, if this is a fairy wedding, don't we need some beautiful flowers? So I'm going to grab some of these little yellow flowers. Again, these are scraps, y'all. They're scraps. And I'm going to put these here and there. Just wherever I like them. You know, this is definitely not symmetrical. See the little mushroom peeking out the inside of that little arbor in the front? Love it. Arbor, arch, whatever you want to call it. And then I picked off one little single one. Then I got another pod and I'm just going to put it toward the back. And then any more little single flowers can be placed here and there as well. And the yellow looks like the lights. I just love this. So pretty. Just exploding with warmth and color, and oh, I love it. These projects make me so happy. I hope they inspire you and make you as happy as they make me. I don't think well, I know for a fact parts of me never grew up. And that part of my mind is still just as playful and young as ever. All right, number 5. All right, this is crumbled quartz. You can use stone or whatever you want, little gravel, a stick. I got this arbor. We got some little pieces of greenery scraps, so some quartz, some lights, and then some more of those mushrooms we haven't used yet. Trim off the bottom, get it ready to go. Y'all know exactly how to do these now, right? So if you happen to win, you're going to know exactly what to do, right? If you win and you get the pieces and you make something of your own, I want you to send me a picture of what you make in my email. And y'all can find my email, my shipping address, all of that is down in the description box. So you can find that information there. Now this one I'm going to put right in the middle because we haven't done one like this before, right? I'm going to unwind my fairy lights. I want to make like an arch that's going to kind of mimic the arch that we have down there. So I need to move my lights around a bit. And with fairy lights, if you put them, depending on how you fold them, you'll get more distance between your lights instead of them stacked up one on top of the other, and then you have gaps in your lights. I'm trying to reduce that by getting the lights closer together, and it's all in just how you wrap it and fold it. Now see, that looks almost like complete coverage. Not perfect, but you know. Then we could attach them on the outside if we wanted, or I'm going to put them on the inside because the little hanging lights in there are actually on the inside. So that's where I want to position those. And again, that's my little dry run, just to make sure it's perfect. Now I'll take some of my mounting tape and I'm going to put it on the little battery pack here. And it's double stick. You just peel off one side, stick it down, peel off the other side, and put it in the place that you want to put it. I'm going to put it down on the outside so that I have access to it, and it fits right behind the blocks we used. I'll put the light arch right behind the arch. Then I can use some more of that double stick tape to make sure that the lights stay positioned on the arch, on the inside. You know, the supports we used, we want to have them sticking there. We don't want them flopping around when people grab it to look at it, because I promise you, if you have this in your house, people are going to want to pick this up and look at it. They're so pretty. All right, these are some more branches that I got from TEMU. I'm just going to cut these into pieces. All right, I'm going to give y'all a little tip here. If you don't have branches, but you like the plastic branches like this, if you have floral wire that you had you know, a bunch of florals on. Probably not the ones you get from Dollar Tree because they're straight, but some that you get will have a bunch of little separate flowers on them. If you've taken all the flowers off and you've still got those green pieces, spread them out, take them outside, spray paint them either black, dark brown, whatever, and you can use those for your little leafless branches, right? Why couldn't you? They work perfect, and I've done it before, especially in Halloween crafting. All right, so we're going to continue along here. I've got some of my evergreens in there. I've got some, now I'm going to put some moss in there, and this is just my scrap moss that comes from Dollar Tree. I save the little scraps, scoop them all up, put them back in the bag. I'm just kind of flooding it with glue, and I'm tucking it in there. And I want this to look like little stones, so I'm just going to push that straight down into there. If you've got maybe some peat gravel or something, you could use that if you wanted to. And you don't have to do this part, but the elevation and the different dimension that it gives, I really like. And then we're going to make it look like a path by putting some right on the inside here. So I'm just kind of flooding that with a little bit of glue. I'm going to tuck the moss down first, press it down. Remember, protect your fingers. Press it, press it, press it. Tap it down. We can shake out the excess. And then we'll add some more of that cork on top of it. I'm such a messy crafter, y'all. But I get the job done, right? All right, so now you can see that I'm adding that cork. I want to bring it all the way to the front on the edge of the box, but not overhanging. You can grab some type of a little crafting stick or whatever to help get inside there and press it down. I don't want to see any openings when I look at it from all angles, so I'm making sure that I go side to side in there as well. And then we'll move to the other side. You see me grabbing the scraps from all over the table? You can really save a lot of money this way. And then I'm gonna, while that glue is still warm and liquidy, I'm gonna press some more of that cork straight down into it. Now that's definitely a different look, and I think that it's nice. I'm gonna cut these down, so now we have a shorter tree. A lot of dimension. Tall trees, medium trees, short trees. This can look like a treetop in the back without having the bulk underneath because nobody can see back there. And then you can add more branches here and there. Even in beautiful, thick, lush woods, you're still going to have some trees that are just aged and they're ready to go back into the earth. And so they're bare. They don't have their branches anymore. Perhaps they're covered with moss, but some of them are just there. They're just woody now. They're just a memory of what they used to be. And they're still beautiful. And I really think they have something still to offer, right? They definitely do, because as they break down, they feed into the earth and allow other things to grow, like mushrooms and moss. Look at this one, y'all. It's so pretty. I hope y'all like these projects as much as I enjoyed creating them for you. And I hope you feel inspired to make it your own. All right, so when the lights are on, you really can't see the magic that is in there, but I want you to see all of the layering, the dimension, and all of what we did while we were working on the table before we turned the lights on, okay? The first time when I recorded this, I put the cool lights in. So see, this one and the one next to it here have the white lights on the inside, if you chose to do it that way. With the lights off, this is how that white light is going to look. A little harsh in my opinion, but if you like that, it's certainly okay to do it that way. I kind of want a treehouse, y'all. I'm almost 51, but I do. Y'all subscribe to this channel. If you're new here, I would love to have you as part of our family. Hit your notification bell so you don't miss anything. And when you give me a thumbs up, it helps me a whole lot more than you know. It lets YouTube know that I'm doing a good job. It lets me know that I'm doing a good job and that you're interested. And that motivates me to make even more creative and unique budget-friendly ideas for y'all. These are not projects that we're going to do for free, but they could possibly be boutique and you don't have to pay that price. So here is the yellow lights now. I like that much better. And then here are the little fairy lights right beside it. I thank you so much for stopping by today. I appreciate you. You matter more to me than you can ever know. I've got some rich black chalk paint and a brush that happens to be stained with black paint already. I've got some black tape. This is 3M, in case you're wondering. String of lights. And these are from TEMU. Pull the tab out. It has 3 settings, just like so. I love these. You can get them in a package. They're great. And then I'm going to use this decal. Here's the info, but I will have the link for you. Okay, and it just happens to fit in another thrifted piece that I have. You can see here about how big it is. And this is a shadow box that I thrifted. You could do this on a smaller scale with one of those little banks from Dollar Tree. You know, the ones that are clear in the front. You could probably do it on a smaller scale. And maybe with the decal that you get from Dollar Tree. Who knows? I don't even know what's out there right now at Dollar Tree, y'all. I don't know. So this particular one had like a linen type background, like a, I don't know, it's a fabric on it. I'm just going to pull it off. And I'm going to pull off all the little strands here. I'm going to clean my glass off. You need to be super careful when you're cleaning glass from frames or anything else. The edges are rough and sharp, and you can slice yourself. So just be very careful. I'm trying to do the majority of my cleaning here with it still in the frame, so I don't have to touch it as much. And then I can just turn it around. I'll pull out these little pieces. They're actually the dividers that go between the backing and the front. And just kind of lean it forward, and then you can clean the other side of it. See, I'm going to take it out carefully and go around those edges that need to be cleaned. And just get that off. This is a microfiber towel that I'm using. But you can use paper towels, whatever kind of cleaner that you like also you can use for your glass. I'm just using a little glass cleaner, a little Method glass cleaner, I do believe. That needs to be completely dry. And we're going to go over this frame. We're going to take this to a very matte black color. You can use spray paint to do this if you want to. You can use acrylic, but it's going to take more layers, and it depends on the material that you're putting it on, whether it's wood or MDF or plastic. So just use what you have for this to make this go from a wood look to black. Okay, so here's that mat. I'm going to use a piece of craft paper for the background. I like this black and gray because it kind of looks like a night sky. It's still a little bit playful, but it has a little, I'll say it again, a little dimension because it has darker and lighter colors in it. So it gives it a little more something to look at. I'm just using a glue stick here, just a school glue stick. I'll flip it over and then put it down on the paper. And this will be our new backing rather than the fabric that was on there. You could use creepy cloth. You could use any type of fabric that you like if you wanted to, but you'd probably have to use some decoupage for it. I like it very much. It's foam, so it's easy to deal with, and I'm just going to press it down. You don't have to worry about anything squishing out when you're using a glue stick. And then I'm just using the little tool here from Mod Podge. And I'm going to make sure everything is nice and flat. Everything is pressed down so that it is getting a little bit of adhesive on every piece of it. Then I've got a thick piece of felt. It's like a felt backing, and I'm going to use that to protect my table. And I'll take a utility knife carefully and get your fingers out of the way. I still had my hand there and I should have moved it. And then go down the edge of it and just take that edge off. But you can use scissors, whatever you need to trim it down to make it the same size, because we want it to all fit back together, right? Okay, so to elevate my glass a little bit, I decided to just carefully use that bottom to hold my glass in place so I don't have to move it around and get to all the edges and pieces. I've got a foam brush. I'm going to use Mod Podge and go over this entire piece of glass with a nice even coat. Why am I doing this, you may wonder? Because putting this on here is going to give me a cloudy or misty looking background. It's going to change this from that shiny glass to something that is more, gives it kind of a spooky look, you know. I'll dry it, and that's easy to do. If you have the time, just put your pieces aside that need to dry. You don't have to have a heat tool. You could use a blow dryer. It doesn't matter. So I am going to trim this down just a little bit by cutting over the decal and over the backing that it is on. And I'll pull it off my backing. And my mailman actually, or whoever delivered this, it was probably the mailman, crumpled up my package, so this does not look like it is flat. That's not a problem because we're going to flatten it out. So once that Mod Podge is dry, we're going to put this down. If you fold it in the middle, you can kind of eyeball where your center is going to be. And I don't do things precisely, y'all. I just don't. But if that's your bag and that's what you like to do, then you go right ahead. I'm going to start in a small section in the middle and start rolling away. So down and out, trying to get any bubbles and wrinkles to the outside where we can chase them out the edge, right? Now there's still going to be some little bubbles that are trapped in here. I didn't do anything drastic to get rid of them because there's a little trick that I like to use that I think would be helpful to you as well when you are doing these types of crafts. And I want to show you how you can do it because it's simple. Okay, so once we have it down, you can see that I have a bubble here. I'm going to use a sewing needle and go in at an angle, just a little hole, and pop it. And then look, when you scrape, it pushes the air right out of that tiny hole and it will lay flat. Same thing here. If you got a spot that you can't get flattened, use that pin, turn it to the side. That just gives it like a low angle, right? And you can't see like a big hole in it. You don't want your finish to have a bunch of holes in it. So if you do it like an angle, like when, you know, sometimes when you get injections or whatever, you do it at a little angle there. You got it. Now, the background blends in a whole lot better now with the hazy look that is around here. If you have a piece that you choose that is outlined and is cut close to the design, that's fine. If you don't, and it's a situation like this, I loved it. I had to have it, and I thought, you know what? I'm going to work with it because this is going to be beautiful for what I'm intending to do with it. So now I've got my Mod Podge and a little pouncing foam brush here, and I'm going to go back over where I already had the first layer of Mod Podge, and I'm going to go over, this is, I think this is my matte. Yes, this is the matte Mod Podge. I don't want it to be shiny, right? We don't want it to be shiny. And I'm going to go all over that edge and then pull it down on the sides of where the decal meets the glass. So over the edges. I'm going to go over it. I'm going to try to make sure that the amount of Mod Podge I put on there is pretty even. If it's not, it doesn't matter because it's still got the Mod Podge underneath it. It's just going to give you a little more variation, right? Not a problem. Maybe one of those little happy accidents we talk about. I did come down over the turret or the top of the house right there. That's okay. It's totally okay. And you can move this in closer to the edge of the house if you want to as well. If you don't want to blend your edges out like this, you don't have to. This is just something that I thought, hey, let's try it and see, because I don't want to think that there's anything out there that I can't craft, right? Or that you cannot craft. We want to make sure that whatever you have, we know how to work with, because you're not going to have everything I have. Okay, so nice even coat here. I'm going to look at it and think, okay, is this enough? Is this the look I'm going for? Is this going to work for this project? This is also sealing this in, and you know, that's never a bad thing either. Now I'm taking very little is left on that brush, and I'm just blending it in so we have no harsh lines. I'm going to dry it. Keep your dryer far away from it. You don't want to melt the decal in any way. I've never melted one, but I guess it could happen. You can see what it looks like as it starts to dry. And this is what it's going to be looking like so far. But wait, we got more layering to do here. Nice, 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 nice. Nice and clean. So now we're going to flip it over and we are going to work on the back side. This is wrought iron paint. That's the color. It's just an acrylic paint. I'm going to use this with that same brush I already used. That Mod Podge is not going to hurt anything. I'm going to pounce it around in there, offload a little bit of it, and I'm going to use this to create some shadowing and mistiness in here. I'm going to pounce this all around. Y'all, I don't know if I've ever seen something done like this. I don't know if it just came in my head. I don't know, but I just kept going with it. I have sort of an intuitive thing when it comes to my crafting. People have asked me before about how I come up with things and how I choose my designs and what I'm going to craft and all that. And it sometimes starts with a little idea that just pops into my head that I either write down or immediately make a move on. And then intuitively, as I'm doing it, I just keep going. There's a time in your crafting journey where you start to trust yourself and you start to trust the process, and you're not so scared of, oh, what if I mess this up? Because you learn it's paint. Paint will scrape off of glass. Glue will come off of glass. You know, you can do something else with this, right? You could change it if you needed to. But I love the idea of doing it this way, and I had so much fun. It did take some time, you know, drying the layers in between, but man, when you love your job and you love what you do, it is time well spent. So there's the back. We're going to flip it over and look at that from the back to the front. Now, this might not be too impressive to you at this point because we haven't added those lights yet. Okay, so now I'm going back over, adding a little more where I want and kind of blending it in a little bit more so there's no harsh lines, like I said. And then I'm going to make sure that that layer is completely dry. Now, I've got some King's Gold paint. This is just like a mustardy yellow color. It looks to me like a yellow light. And put my spectacles on, get my little jump brush or my little, it's like a stencil brush that you do the little lines. And then I'm going to go, we're on the back side now, and I'm going to trace out and color in the windows that I want to have lights in there. So that's what I'm doing. I'm using that yellow. It is not impressive looking from the back side, but when you flip it over, you can see the magic. I'm just doing each one. If you wanted to do light in your doorway, if you wanted to do some dots to make little spooky eyes, that would be really cool. If you did a cat, maybe you had a cat decal, you could maybe do their eyes, just whatever you want to do here with that. I'm just filling in. This is such an easy thing to do, y'all. Just filling it in, right? No perfect lines. You can see what I'm doing. You can see they don't all look the same. This is very easy. You could use a paint pen for this probably. I'm going to add one over here. And really, I could put lights wherever I wanted to, couldn't I? I could make new lights because it's just a black and white or black and clear kind of situation. I'll dry that layer. And then when I flip it over, look. Looky, look. Yes. Wait till we put the lights on there. Oh my, y'all. I had a Kincaid moment. Okay, so I'm going to grab those brushes again. These are just really good for small details. I'm going to dip into that same wrought iron. I'm not even using black. And I'm just going to trace over, again, on the back side, I'm tracing over what's already there. If you have a situation like this, now I could see this on the black background or that dark gray background. I can see it. But if you can't see it, you can lift the glass up a little bit and do it at an angle, or you could put a white paper underneath there, something lighter, so that the outline will stand out for you, and then you can just go back over it, and any parts of it that you want to give a little more dimension, you just go over it. Really easy. I'm just doing that for the trees, and then there's some bushes on the side that I kind of work with. Then I go over the rooftop on the top of that house. You could even take the opportunity, if you wanted to maybe sketch out a little raven on there, or embellish the house. Maybe you want to put more gothic, so you put like a curved type of situation in the windows. You could do stained glass and make it a different color. You could make it spooky and do a green, whatever you like. Oh, I love it. Look how it stands out, the difference. I like that so much. And then, of course, I'm just having fun over here, and I'm just going to go ahead and continue to work. I take my time on this and just, you know, check in from time to time. I'll look and see, lift it up and see if it's enough. You know, if I have it where I want it. You can see that I have it lifted right now. And here too, I'm kind of pulling the end of that tree down, giving it a little more of a base there. And once that's all dry, look, oh, I love it. I can drop it back into the piece. And we're not going to put anything else on there yet until we get our lights in place. I love the fact that these lights, and y'all know I've been using them. I'm not trying to sell anything to y'all, but some of y'all want to know, so I'll share it with you. These lights are wonderful because the box, the power little part down there, it is so low profile that it will fit just about anywhere, and you can paint it, which makes it great. Plus, the strand of lights has, like I said, 3 different settings. I mean, you know, it's worth your money, and I'm a cheapskate, so if I tell you that, then I mean it. I wouldn't lie about stuff like that. I'm going to use this double stick gel tape to put these lights on. So I'm just going to cut them in sections that are the same size as the windows so that it doesn't hang over. If you don't make them the same size as the window, I'll show you what it looks like, because I'm going to do one just to show you it's not that big of a deal. Once you put this tape on, you don't want to take it off, so just be careful, because if you pull it off, you're going to remove your paint that you put on there. Now, the lights on this strand have like little bubbles. There'll be a piece of wire, and then a little bubble, and then a wire and the bubble. So the bubble is where the little light sections are. I'm going to press those into the gel tape, and believe me, it holds it in place well, not a problem. I'll continue along. I'm just peeling off some of the backings here. I didn't peel them all off. And I want to make sure there's enough slack or room in between the wire and the lights in the windows so that I can lift that wire up and you won't see it. You'll see what I mean in a minute. You see all the loops in the wire? That is intentional. Press the next one down, press the next one down. All right. Now I'm going to take the rest of the wire, which still has lights on it, and I'm going to wrap it around my hand. I'm going to wrap it around, kind of press it together. You really don't have to be delicate with them. And this is what the black tape is for. I'm going to put this black tape all around the rest of the lights that we don't want to be seen, because I don't want them to be seen, right? And the black tape itself is going to hide all the light. You won't see through it. Like if you use a masking tape, you would still see the light from it. We don't want to see the light down there on the bottom. That's not the look I'm going for. If you want to, you could take yours and wrap them all around the inside edge of it. But that's not what I'm going for. So I want to make sure none of those show. And then over here in the side where it's where the line starts from the little box, we're going to be covering up those little lights as well. Each one of those, it just takes a small section, and you just make sure, and if it makes it easier for you to turn your lights on while you do this, then go ahead and do that. Make sure that none of those show out of place. This is a very intentional placement of these lights. You know, that's my reasoning for this. Now I'm going to lift all those wires up and just have them sticking upwards. If they're laying flat on the glass, you will see those when you turn your lights on. I don't want them to show, so lifting them up is going to get them out of the way, and they're very thin, so there shouldn't be a problem. Shouldn't be a problem at all. Do y'all love light up projects as much as I do? Because I make them for y'all, and I've made them over the past 4 years many times, so I hope that you enjoy that playfulness as much as I do. So we're reassembling. I already put those little wood pieces back in. I put my foam with the paper on it back in. I'm putting the backing on. Now I can move this piece because that was only temporary. I'll use some of my double stick tape. This is going to cover the line. And then I'm going to use my double stick tape to go right on the back side, making sure I still have access to my little controller there. I gotta be able to touch the controller to turn it off right and turn it on. Peel that little backing off. Sometimes it's hard to get the backing off, y'all. Not hard, it just takes a minute. So here it is when it's flashing at full speed. No, at medium speed. Now here it is with no flash. It is not as impressive in the light as it is in the dark, I assure you. So let me just give you a glimpse of this in the dark. What? Y'all. Okay, yeah, I know. I know. Sometimes I feel like I'm doing too much. But y'all look at this. Look what we did. Look what y'all inspire me to do. Look what you drive me to do when you ask me to do certain things, when you ask me for this type of decor, when you say, I want more dark and moody, I want more, bring me more. This is not a castle, but it is a haunted house, and I think that it will do the trick. Look at it, y'all. Once you have it set up and you decorate around it, it is stunning to me. And you could always decorate the outside of the shadow box too, but I wanted all the attention to be on this piece and on that light.
Okay, so we're going to start off with some of these they were from Target last year. They're actually wrappers that go around drink bottles. So I've chosen this one. They come in a variety pack. Probably can find them this year too. And I've cut mine down already to show you that it's going to fit the size of this thrifted shadow box that I got from Goodwill. Going to use some double stick tape to easily put this down. You could use hot glue, but it's going to make it a mess if you decide to repurpose it. So a little bit of double stick tape will do the trick. I'm just using my little popsicle stick to flatten it down, make sure that the glue is sticking. Then I've got this thrifted frame that I knew I wanted to use for Halloween, and it fits perfectly over this box. Just a coincidence. I'm going to use popsicle sticks to help give some support to the box when it comes to putting on the frame and keeping it in place. Just using my little nippers here that of course came from Goodwill, and it looks like they were very loved at one time. They're stained, but they are clean. Going to use some hot glue and make sure our sticks are the same length and that they're the correct depth for the box and the frame. And then we're going to set the frame back on top. Make sure that it fits correctly. If it doesn't, just go ahead and snip off a little bit more. You can use a few dots of hot glue underneath the edge of the frame to hold it in place, but I am going to use this 3M black tape. It's like a duct tape, but it's black. Seems to be the right width, and I know that it'll have a good strong grip. Just going to use it on the bottom of the frame, and then I'm going to do the same thing up there on the top. See, I've just flipped it over there. Okay, do y'all remember this cat? This cat was from one of the first videos that I did, either the first or the second one. He's one that had a different face, and I painted him all black and then started over. And I painted that. Just used some hot glue and put him on the corner. Then I'm going to take some of this Dollar Tree ribbon. It is wired, and I'm going to make a bow with it. And it's also this orange that is sheer. It actually has like a spider web pattern. It's really pretty, or a crackle pattern. So the two look they look good together, I think. And then I'm just going to make my bow. I've got a 6-inch tail, pinching it. And I'm going to make about a 6-inch loop. Pinch it toward the center. And then I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to flip it. And then there we go. I'll pinch toward the center. Just going to make sure my loops are even.
Okay, then I'm going to, while I'm still holding on to the other one, I'm going to do the same thing for this Happy Halloween ribbon. I'm going to have a 6-inch tail. I'm going to make 2 6-inch loops. And they're all going to be stacked together. Just a little bit of fluffing. And get a good grip on the bow. And then we're going to add that tie there, the little zip tie. Now I'm just curling and fluffing again and deciding on placement, and I'm also going to dovetail, and I think I've also heard this being called fishtails, but I'm going to dovetail the ends, which is just cutting a V in the ends. Okay, for the center to cover up that tie, I'm going to fold a strip of that bow in thirds. Then I'm just going to wrap it around to the back, add some glue on the tied area, press it down, got my little finger protector on there, and then I'm going to fold the end up and glue it down. If you need to, go ahead and clip that off so that it's not sticking up on the top of your bow. Now I'm going to add some glue and secure my bow. Here's one of my laundry clips from the Dollar Tree. You can get those in, I think, a pack of 6. Some are white and some are blue. They're really handy for these thicker projects. Okay, so I've decided that my kitty cat down there deserved a little bit prettier of a bow, a little more festivity. So I've just taken a little scrap of this orange ribbon that came also from Dollar Tree, and I've used the jute to tie it in the middle. And I'll snip that off. It's just a little simple bow. And I'll be using some hot glue to attach that to his original bow. Okay, so I've taken this little plastic spider and I'm just going to stick him down because I think he looks good on the webs, and going to fluff up that bow. Want to be sure that I'm curling the tails under, and I'm just doing that with my fingers. It's really easy to do. And so I've decided, since my paint, it doesn't have very good coverage here, to just take a chalk marker. It's either the chalk marker or metallic marker from Dollar Tree, and fill in over the original area that I painted to make that white pop a little bit better. And then when that is done, I'm going to take a black, it's actually a glass marker. It has got a great fine tip on it, so almost like a paintbrush tip. I love it. And I'm going to use that to trace out that area, and it really makes it look a lot better. This is a permanent marker also. And that looks much better, I think. Okay, so here it is without the light. Well, with the light still on, actually. But you can see behind the cat and up there toward the tail of that bow where the spider is, you can see that I have some little Dollar Tree flickering Halloween tea lights. In a minute, I'm going to show you what that looks like when we turn off the lights. So here it is with the lights dimmed. Is that not the cutest thing ever? You could also use some of the little fairy string lights if you wanted to. Any way that you want to do it, but these do fit down in there. There's 2. There's one in the left bottom, and then there's one in the right bottom side, kind of behind the cat's head. All right, thanks for watching, and I'm so glad that you came over.
Click the box below for more.